Shut up.
Yeah, no one likes Ollie.
Explain what today's theme is for the peoples.
Alright, so the will of motivation has spoken. He's reached out into the heavens and he cries for sacrifice. But not just any sacrifice. Sacrifice of the most elaborate sort. You've been commissioned to create your very own Deathtrap, which will be... Why? Which will be graded...
Ollie, keep your composure.
It'll be graded on 3 criterion like per usual, but obviously I can't really say it's going to be based off of the same building criterion. I'm going to tell you 2 of the 3, and you'll find out about the 3rd one later on, maybe halfway point. 1 will be, obviously, it's a death trap, so on a scale of 1 to 5, how lethal is your trap? Lethality. And your other one is, of course, you can't kill unless you don't have any flair in there, so aesthetic is also a criterion. So you're going to be building a death trap of your choosing. Now, it can either be through redstone means, which may take a while because, you know, redstone takes time to figure out. Or if you don't really want to get into that type of death trap, you could always try and just build a representation. So an example I gave was you could either try and build like some sort of redstone trap that drops you into lava or something, or alternatively, you could build a death ray. Obviously, it doesn't have to shoot, but as long as it shows that it's a trap that would either kill physically or... Miles, stop. Either kill physically or kill symbolically. That's basically what we're going for here. You must impress the Lord.
So, as you can see, there is a time lapse in the background, and that is because the audio was terrible for this entire recording. There was no way in heck that I could get this audio to sound good in any kind of regards. So, I'm going to do a voiceover for a lot of it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to, most of the times, it's going to be me explaining each of the trap or what people are doing at certain points. To be honest, you're not really missing much for most of the building aspect of it. It's a lot of people standing around trying to figure out exactly how the heck they do redstone or building giant obsidian cages for mazes and whatnot. But you're not really missing too much, especially with all this narrating part. And trust me, you don't want to hear the audio. It was fan most of the time. You probably hear it in the intro a little bit. It was just a lot of painful kind of audio, and you really don't hear that when you're playing the game, but after you watch the clips and stuff, you're just like, oh, this audio is terrible. Let's not induce my viewers to that. So, to save you the trouble, I'm just going to do some voiceovers explaining what's happening in each little part and giving a little bit of time lapse just throughout, just to show you exactly what's happening. Just try to keep you in the loop, and then I'll get the presentations. But there's also 2 other build battles if you want to watch those too. But this one's still pretty good. I would suggest just sticking around and watching the rest of it. So I'd say right about here was kind of the midpoint-ish of the build battle. As you can see, I'm currently stuck in a chamber. But for the midpoint, we typically give some sort of mid-game twist or give them some sort of new information that they got to try to incorporate. So for this build battle, the first 2 criterion were the aesthetic and the lethality, but the 3rd one was how stealthy the base was, and how stealthy the base was. Yeah. So if it blended in, did it not blend in? So that was something that people really had to try to figure out in their base. Kind of around this point, there was like, oh, I have to make sure this is hidden a little bit. A lot of people had giant eyesores of different magnitudes. So that was a very interesting thing. Also, a great thing to note now is for the judging. I was not a judge for this one. I let Christian take my place to judge. So that made things quite interesting as well. So it was Christian, Ollie, and Josh judging out of 10 points this time and not 5. We quickly realized with the 5-point system that we had decimals a lot of the time, and it kind of defeated the purpose of having 5 points, and we just decided, heck, we're going to go with 10 points. We just won't use decimals now. So if you've watched the other 2 build battle videos, you'll see that we used 5 points. This one, we used 10. So it made things kind of easier for us. We also disabled TNT, as you know, because TNT is bad. But there was also the whole aesthetic part. As you can see, Dalton's base was pretty good. with aesthetics, and Tyler's looks pretty cool with the gold. But I'll let the time lapse keep going, and then I'll explain the presentations and death traps as they come up. So our first contestant or participant that we judged was Aidan's. His base took place in a jungle kind of setting, in a forest. There was an obsidian room. As you can see, there was no way to get out because there was no button of the iron door, so that's assuming you don't have a pickaxe to be able to escape. But it led down into a tunnel, so as you can see, I start going down this tunnel. It's very dark, so I have no clue what in the frick I'm doing. I'm in survival, by the way, if you can't tell, just to simulate kind of what would happen. As you can see, he has a nice little room here, and then I start taking damage on this carpet. I'm like, oh crap, how am I taking damage? There's nothing there. And then Aidan informed me that there were magma cubes underneath. So it's a pretty cool design. It would be pretty lethal, assuming I don't crouch. There was also dispensers that usually would pour out lava, and there was another set of dispensers that would block out my exit that would dispense lava. The redstone got kind of messed up a little bit, but nonetheless, the idea was still really cool, and there would be little to no way of surviving this trap, so that is Aidan's trap. So next on the list was Miles's trap. As you can see, Miles took a completely different approach from Aidan and made his a lot more aesthetic based, and lured me in with the promise of free cookies. As you can see, there's a cookie on this item frame that was right there. The climb ladder for cookies sign really enticed me to go up there and really want to grab that one cookie, and then really wanted me to jump into that hole. So Christian took my cookie there. I'm very upset about that still. So I jump in this hole, and I'm like, okay, there's another cookie there. So Miles' design was a whole maze kind of feel to it. So some people took different approaches. As you can see, he put different traps in here for his first trap. He had a nice little door, iron door here, that once I stepped on the pressure plate, obviously I couldn't escape because it's a trap. So essentially I would just starve to death, which is a cool design. Fortunately I had 13 honey bottles, so I wasn't starving anytime soon. After I got broken out of that trap, I started going on these pressure plates, and I was like, oh, this is totally not a death trap. And then I noticed the glaring amount of wither skeletons, and my exit, was blocked by a block. So I was essentially trapped. The good news is the wither skeletons couldn't get to me because of the height. However, I was trapped. So if I didn't have a pickaxe, I would have been screwed. And I didn't have a pickaxe, so I would have been trapped there. So once I finally got out of that trap, Miles had a few more traps in this maze. For example, this nice little quote-unquote trap down at the end of the hallway. I thought there was going to be some sort of piston door, apparently. Well, apparently I went this way first, because free V-Bucks is very enticing. Obviously, for some reason, I wasn't taking any fire damage. I think because fire spread was off, or I had some sort of resistance potion by the 15 potions they were chucking at me throughout this thing. But I was essentially stuck down there and trapped to get free V-Bucks. So I had to get a nice little teleport out of there to finish finding all of the different traps that Miles had in this giant little death maze of his. Next one was this chest down here. I thought there was going to be a piston door at first, but apparently it was literally just selling my soul to the devil. So that was fun. And then I was confused about that at first, but it was literally just putting an item in the hopper. Then the final trap was just a pit with a sign that hailed motivation. So that was the final trap of Miles' base. All in all, it was a giant death maze of different twists and turns. It was very scary, but nonetheless still effective, and it still would have killed me multiple times. So next on the list we had Pegasus Base. If you can't remember, Pegs had the giant golden obsidian cube. He took a very same approach that Miles did with the wither skeletons and maze kind of approach. I'm not gonna lie, this one was quite frightening, just based on the fact that the glass alone kind of hindered me from seeing where the skeletons would be. For example, the skeletons already started coming at me instantly. However, I'm amazing at this game and learned how to quickly punch them away with all of my amazingness. That chest right there was rigged to explode with TNT. We had TNT off because we did not want to, blow up other bases and traps. But in short, this was just a giant maze. There was a lot of different twists and turns. Essentially, there was no way out. So once I got stuck in there, I had no attempt at making, no way of getting out of this base. Luckily, I was able to arm myself with a stone sword, so I could fend myself off a little bit. But I really had no way of knowing where the skeleton was going to come from. And if I was stupid enough to open a chest, I would probably die to the TNT that would explode. There's also a spectator area above that I don't really show here, but it was that whole gold block that you might have seen in building a bit ago in the time lapse and stuff. So that was Pegasus Base, or Deathtrap I should say, not base, my bad. So next up we had Dalton's base, and Dalton's base obviously looked pretty cool aesthetically wise, and it promised free V-Bucks. So of course I was really enticed to going into this base, as you can see my frantic movement. So his base was, you'd step in and there was a tripwire armed on the door, and then he quickly informed us that there was about 80 blocks of TNT or so underneath the base. So it was rigged to explode. We would have instantly have died if TNT explodes was on. Probably would have lagged the server a little bit. So really good thing we didn't have TNT explodes on, because it probably would have crashed the server and probably ended the build battle right there. But nonetheless, still a very effective trap. I would have died instantly if we had TNT explodes on. Maybe for a video we'll put TNT explodes on and let you see how that works, but still, nonetheless, cool aesthetics, lots of birds. There were no free V-Bucks, so I was kind of upset about that, but nonetheless, a good base. So the second to last base was Jason's. Jason had a nice little wooded area here, very stealthy. As you can see, there was a giant diamond and emerald kind of hut down there, so I was like, oh look, stuff, and then I realized quickly it was a trap, and the silverfish actually gave me kind of a jump scare. I'm not gonna lie, as you can see, it has a nice little meme in the background, but the cobwebs and lava and the silverfish were all really effective in absolutely murdering me and bringing my ultimate demise. So Jason's base, very straightforward, but very easy and good. Next up, we have Jacob's base. Jacob's base was set in another wooded area, more or less, but there were pressure plates and whatnot that you would step on, triggering some sort of gravel that would fall down. In the middle, as you can see, the gravel falls onto some golden blocks. So, assuming I needed the gold or the diamonds, I would fall down and be like, oh, look, diamonds and gold, and I would fall all the way down to my death because I dig straight down in Minecraft. And if I didn't die from fall damage, the lava would kill me underneath, and we were informed afterward that there was hoppers underneath the lava, so if your stuff didn't burn in the lava, it would fall into hoppers and you'd be able to collect it afterward and get all that loot from PvP kind of aspect. So that was a very cool touch of Jacob's base. So this is the point of the video where I would give out the scores and explain my reasoning for each different score that we gave them. Well, I didn't really give them, but the scores that were given. I should say. But of course the audio was messed up, so I'm gonna have to do my best through voiceover because I love my job. So the last place you can see was Tyler Pegs. They gave him a pretty decent score on aesthetics, and the lethality was pretty good. However, the stealth aspect really came to bite him in the end. As you can see, it's not very stealthy. It really was costly in the end. That's kind of where he fell short with the points. So in 5th place with a total of 39 points out of the 90 points was Pegasus Base. They gave a pretty lowish score on aesthetic and a mixed score on lethality, I guess would be the best word for it. And the stealth aspect again kind of came to bite him a little bit. As you can see, that is clearly not really stealthy, so that's kind of where the points kind of fell flat for Jacob in this case. But it was still a really cool design, and it would still kill, so that's that. So in 4th place with a total of 44 out of 90 points was Aidan's base. As you can see, the lethality of it was pretty good. They thought this stealth again was not really the greatest because it was a giant obsidian cube in the middle of a forest. However, they give us decent score for aesthetic as well, but again, kind of medium score all around, so that's why he got the 4th place, but I still personally thought it was kind of cool design. So in 3rd place for our build battle with a total of 51 out of 90 points was Miles' base. The judges gave him a pretty good score on aesthetic, and a pretty decent score on lethality, and a pretty decent score on stealth. His base kind of had an overall medium score, I would say. The stealth could have been a bit better, considering it was just a giant box in the middle of a field. However, once you get in there, you kind of don't know where you're going with the maze kind of aspect. So that's what the judges gave for this area of the build. So obviously, giving 2nd place would be kind of pointless if you didn't get 1st place first. So in 1st place with a total of 77 out of 90 points was Jason's base, which I'm flying over to right now. As you can see, Jason's base had a pretty cool aesthetic to it overall. His lethality was insane. I probably died the quickest in this base than I would at any others. And the stealth aspect was really what carried him in this case. You really would have no way of knowing, or very little way of knowing, if this was a base or a trap that would come to kill you in the end. So overall, his got a really good score from the judges. Now let's go over and talk about Dalton's base real quick. So Dalton's base had a total of 69, nice, out of 90 points. That's because the aesthetic was really good, the lethality was really good, and the stealth was also really good. However, it just was not as many points as Jason's, not even by that many points. I think the only reason he might not have won is because the lethality was not actually lethal in this case, because we turned TNT off, which kind of took away from the overall experience of, you know, getting killed. So that's kind of where the judges, I think, really gave their points at. So those are all the scores. Again, I apologize for the audio and problems of this video. It's obviously not how I wanted to make the video, but I'm still hoping it turns out kind of okay. It's just hopefully a one-time hiccup. Hopefully next week we'll get back to the regular us giving some terrible commentary and some decent presentations of bases and shocked surprises of people winning or losing their big money prize. So if you enjoyed the video, please, oh please, oh please subscribe. I'm trying to hit goals each week. I'm getting desperate. Please subscribe, like the video, go check out some more videos, please. I'm putting these videos out. Please go watch them. They're really fun to watch in my opinion. Have a great day.